Hey YouTube, what's up? This is Taz Olsen here, and I'm gonna give you another After Effects tutorial. Today, I'm going to show you how to do this this one effect that I did in a previous video that I recently uploaded, the 2011 version of Pointless Battles. And here's one attack that I thought was really cool that I want to show you guys how to do. It has tons of implementations. It's basically the biggest part of it is you see. The fist, having like an attack follow your fist. You can do this for so many things. It doesn't have to look like this. It's basically particles or whatever following your fist. I've never actually seen a guide on this before, and I've seen a few guides, so this is something that, as far as I know, it's original, and it's going to be really cool. Yeah, you can do quite a bit of stuff with this. Alright, so let's start off. I've got my footage here. It starts off, it's got a whole bunch of different parts to it. It's got Andrew there. It's got then he walks out. No, oh, I cut that earlier. And then it cuts to me punching him. It's the same shot. The camera's still the same, so it's a great shot, because that means the lighting's the same, so this looks more natural. Looks like he's actually there, even when I punch him and stuff. And you can do a whole lot of really good stuff with it if the lighting's the same. So that's a really important thing to do when you're filming. Do your best to even out the lighting. Alright, so let's drop this in. So now, basically what we're going to do, okay, you see at the beginning here, one sec. Is OpenGL on? Well, let me use OpenGL this time. I don't know, it's kind of weird. It goes on and off. Anyway, you see how the camera shakes a bit here at first. I don't know why it does that, but it did that in like every shot. So what we're going to do for that, we're going to cut that off. Now we're going to select this layer, Control D. Now we have two copies. Let's bring these both to the front here. Now let's cut to the part where he disappears. So there we go. And this other part, let's cut to just before I come in. Okay. So we have this. Now, this is going to require a lot of what this thing called masking. Now, if you are a video editor, this is either your worst enemy or your best friend. It's basically like a green screen wherever you go, and it costs nothing. But the downside is it's a lot of work. So that's what I'm going to do in this shot. If you happen to have a green screen on you, like one of those portable ones, or you shot this on a green screen at home or whatever, that's great. It works even better because you don't have to do this step. But yeah, this is quite an annoying step. Okay, let's cut to. We only need about that far. Okay, now basically what I'm gonna do, turn this layer off by hitting this eye thing here on this layer. So we see this layer. Okay, what we have to do now is we have to mask this out, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Select the layer. Preferably make it so you can only see, so this layer is the top one that's seen. Go up here, select the pen tool. Make sure it's on pen tool. It's hotkey G, which I find hotkeys very effective. And when you select it and it's on, it doesn't show this exact icon, just hit G a couple times. It'll go through revolutions. It'll do add point, subtract point, regular, and then this. So yeah, go through these and then lightly mask around the inside. Just mask around the inside. This is basically cutting it out. This will take you quite a while, so if you happen to have access to a green screen, it will be very much to your benefit. But yeah, if worst case scenario comes up, in video editing, this is a very handy tool to learn. masking is going to help you to no end. Because yeah, it pretty much is like a green screen wherever you go. But you don't want to use this on clips that are too long because it does get very, very tedious. So we are going to do a little bit more here. Cut around here. Yeah, this is very effective thing to use. Same with particles, a lot of other. That's one element that I'm going to also teach you today. There's so many nice things in Sony Vegas that it's just incredible. Alright, so once you have done everything except the last point, just click on your original point, and you'll get this little pen with the circle thing. That means you're going to complete it. Now, if you saw a little change there, it's because now, now all you can see is him. When I solo the layer, which means it's the only one you can see, you can just see just him, and that's just making it alpha. So yeah, there you go, you've masked him. Now, I'm going to show you how another key. Select the layer again, hit M, you will come up with this. You can also double hit M and you come up with all 4 options. These options will be very nice to use. So what we want to do, if we want to change this, go to Selection Tool, hotkey V, and we can go to Mask Path. Hit the little stopwatch thing here. Go forward 1 frame by clicking here and moving forward 1, or hitting page down. Page down goes forward 1 frame, page up goes backwards 1 frame. So yeah, if you're make sure that you're when you're doing a video like this, I recommend taking the actual footage and dragging it into the new composition, because then you get the exact parameters, you get the same frames per second, same pixels. If you're shooting with like a 24 frames per second camera, it's a lot easier to do than if you're doing a 30 frames per second camera, because it's that many less things that you have to cut out. Anyway, so basically what we do here, we have to move these around. So click off of it, select one of these, move it here, like basically move it to the new parameters of where he is. Yeah, this does get pretty tedious. In Sony Vegas it's nice because it's a lot easier to do this. You can just reset the whole mask and do it again and it will count as the same one. But here you're not so lucky. Now, if you have to, you can go back to this pen tool, and if you want to remove one, you can just click on it. You make sure it comes up with this this minus thing, and then all of a sudden it's gone. If you want to add one, click on one of the lines, and it'll come up with the plus. You now have another one that you are free to move around again. So you can just add more and less masks if for instance your image is getting bigger or whatever. Whatever the case is, if you need more of them, if you need more mask points, there you go. Now I'm going to cut the footage here so I can just like completely mask all this out, because it will take a while. Alright, so we're back and we have completed the mask now. As you can see here, the mask moves around a little bit. I did actually just copy the one I did before. So now we have this, and it doesn't look like anything yet, but this will be very useful in the future. Yeah, so you can see this. All he's doing really is standing there. One thing you gotta make sure that you keep track of: move as many points in a mask every time as possible. I know that's just making things harder, but it does help because it looks more like it's realistic. Looks like he's actually moving. It's not like a 2 frame per second video or anything. It looks a lot more smooth. So there we go. Now, one thing you will notice is it does look pretty choppy. We have one very quick fix for this. One sec. So how we fix this, we select the layer again, and we hit either MM, which brings up all the mask things, or we can hit F. F will bring up the mask feather. Double MM will bring up all of the mask options. So mask feather, and then depending on how complex the mask is, you want to match with. You want to mix this feather up. Feather is basically a blur on the edge. So if we go up to about 3, you see we get a little bit more blurred. No one's gonna really notice in the final product because, you know, that looks pretty stinking real. If you have something that's a little choppy or whatever, you know, bring up the mask, the feather a bit. It gets a little more blurred, but you don't want to make it too much. So just a little tip. It's very, like, feather is definitely a friend in video editing. It makes masking so much easier, makes everything so much easier. Yeah, it's very nice. So now we bring in this top layer again, which we can move around it just to prove it's on top. Control Z is undo, of course, so in case you make a mistake, just so you know. So there we have this, and this part of me. We are going to have to mask this out too, so yeah, I'm gonna cut this again, but yeah, one thing you may notice here is like right here my head gets pretty blurred. When this comes up, try to stick to one image, preferably the more solid image, and just stick to that. The other one is okay to just be there, it's just a blur. It's fine if you miss it, but yeah, because seeing as it's so blurred, it's just gonna look wrong if you mask it out. Try to invest your best into a camera that's better than mine, of course, one that has a higher frame per second. Even if you're only going to edit in 30 frames per second, you're not going to have as much of this motion blur as I do, so it's very effective. It's a very helpful thing. Anyway, I will cut it now. Okay, so we are back, and you might notice here it's quite a bit shorter. I decided to actually cut it until he actually comes like overlapping with Andrew, so he doesn't actually come in contact. Like, you don't need these frames masked out that there's nothing going underneath it. So yeah, hopefully you didn't actually do that and wait for me, because yeah, you only need the frames that are overlapping. So here we have these frames. They're very nice. They're already masked out. You may notice they're a little bit choppy. You don't really need to worry about these parts if they don't really overlap. I did more detail than I needed to, so yeah, there's that. And now I will show you what we do next. Now it's gonna get kind of cool. Okay, so we have Andrew here. Now, you may notice in the original composition, he sort of does this teleport thing. This is not absolutely required to do it this way. You can have him teleport however you want him to. What I did, basically, I messed around with the plugin by videocopilot.net. You can buy it there for, I think it's like $45. It's really nice. It's called Twitch. Yeah, it's a really nice plugin, and I recommend you at least look into it, because yeah, it really is pretty cool. Now I'm going to show you how to use it. So we've got this. I'm going to make it so he starts teleporting like here-ish. No, I'm going to wait when he's... once the masking starts, I'm gonna start teleporting him. So let's see here. We'll click the stopwatch, bring this down to 0. Go ahead, like 2 frames, bring it back up to up to 100. And now you get to see what this really does. You can choose one of these presets. There's some pretty cool presets. You may have seen this quite a few times. I don't particularly like how it's got this like reverse mirror shadow, but so I didn't use that one. I was going to use it except for that thing, and I couldn't figure out how to get rid of it. They have tons of presets here, really nice ones. Police lights, those sort of flash blue, chaos theory. That's the one I ended up actually using. I just like scale it down quite a bit. I also okay. No. Okay. Seem to screw up the thing here. Alright, so there we go. You may notice this is very, very crazy. So enable, we've got color, we've got light, and slide. When operating in Twitch, these are all the things that are messed with. You can activate blur, color, like, yeah, you get the idea. So let's go down here, and the slide is the one that we mostly want to mess with because has some weird issues with doing that. Slide amount, bring this down a lot. We don't want it to move around too much. We want it to be fast. Let's go a little bit more than that. Let's go 23. See how that looks. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Now the one thing we're also going to do is we are going to blur this. We are going to blur this out. So select this layer, hit T for opacity, hit the stopwatch right here, bring this down to 0. Then move it over a little bit, like 2 frames or something, bring it back up to 100, so you know stuff happens and then it just goes away. Very nice looking effect. Now the part you've all been waiting for, the coolest part of all, is of course the actual punch itself. So that's what we're gonna work on now. What we do now, make sure you select the composition, layer, new, solid. Doesn't matter what color it is, because that's not gonna have anything to do with anything in a minute. Go to, effects and presets, particle. Or, oh, sorry, I screwed up. P-R-T-I-C-O. Okay, now we've got a whole bunch. We start off with, like, you come with Particle Playground. If you have the CC plugins, you get Particle World and Particle Systems 2, and the Red Giant Trapcode particular plugin, which is my personal favorite. They all have their strengths, they all have the weaknesses. For this one, like, you can use any of them, but in fact, I'll show you. Particle Playground is one I've got a little bit of experience with. You know, it looks like this, but yeah, that's not what we need. It's got the very same fundamentals though. What I'm going to use is Particular, because it's got really good like base images that we're able to use, and that's what I really want. Alright, so we're going to find the beginning here. Where we want the punch to start. Let's say when it first comes in, so let's go forward here. And let's, you see this center point here, this track point. This is where the particles are going to come out of. Alright, so let's put it there. And how we're going to do this is go to emitter settings, and position X and Y. If you're working in 3D space, you can also hit Z. That's what the Z is for, or for a lot of people they call it Z, but I call it Z, so it's not making an issue. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, again, this frame by frame stuff. Go forward one frame, move it to where it is, then forward one more frame, and again. This will take a little bit of time, but this is actually a really fun thing, I think. I find this particular part really fun to do. And then you just track it around. And I bet the people who have used this program quite a bit before can see the wheels turning and exactly what's going to happen here. For the parts like this where like it goes behind the body, you know, don't worry about that. Just give your best guess. My issue here is, yeah, my hand doesn't move a whole lot in this particular spot, and you want to kind of keep your hand moving as much as possible so it doesn't, the particles don't blot up too much. It will seem like that. Alright. And you can, yeah, you can kind of see how the wheel's turning and how this is starting to work. And next, you guessed it, more masking. But first, let's finish this off. Alright, move that more to the center of my hand. A little bit more. A couple more seconds. And we'll call that good. So now what we have here is, I'm going to quickly move these also because get them off frame. And yeah, you can see them, they sort of spread around, they move with the motion. It's really cool, the way it's set up. If you want to see more of what's happening, I'm just going to increase the particles a whole bunch. What particles are, if you don't already know, they're just randomly generated images, and they are one of the coolest things ever. If you've seen the recent video that was like a hit, and it's one of my favorites I've ever seen, the dubstep guns. They used all, like, pretty much all particles for, like, all those special effects were particles, so that's kind of the power that you can get from particles. Now, you guessed it, more masking this time. Let's take this base layer again, duplicate it, right here. Actually, we have to bring this to the top, and right there we start masking. And then we, as you can see, like just those few frames, okay, yeah, all these frames where the particles will come in front of you, so like you would cover the particles, so then we actually get the effect where we are covering the particles. So I'm going to cut it while I mask that out quick. If you forget how to mask, just go back a few minutes in the video and I'll rewatch the part where I already showed you how to mask. Anyway, be right back. Alright, we're back, and I did a bit of masking here. It's not great masking. It doesn't have to be great for this part. You only need to mask out the part that should cover. So you'll notice here I covered my shoulder. I want my shoulder to cover it, but I also want these particles, these particles in front of me to show up. So that's why I did that. I didn't do the entire body or anything like that. So now let's go back to our white solid, or black, or whatever color you decided to make it. So now we've got like a whole whack of these particles. You can make this like however many. I don't recommend 200,000 because you will lag like you have never seen lag before. It's a pretty cool effect here, but especially if, yeah, I won't bother going into more detail what you can do. Let's go down to like 300 now. Now what we can do, we can close this down like an emitter. We can collapse it. Let's change this sphere effect. Let's go particle type. For this particular effect, smokelet is really good. It's what I actually used for it. Cloudlet's okay, but smokelet gives you more variation in color. Size, bring this up a bit. Now you can see a bit more of how good smokelet is opposed to cloudlet. They both could work. If you want a more solid color, go with cloudlet, but yeah, smokelet looks really good here. And yeah, we can already see the effect coming together. There's only a few more things left to do. It's a really simple effect, but it took me like forever to think of. It's more of a concept than anything. So now we got rotation. Now here's going to be a really cool thing. We're going to work with a little bit of coding here. So Alt click. Now here's what we're going to do. We're going to type in wiggle. You cannot spell this wrong because it is code. If you screw it up, you're screwed. So just type in whatever numbers you feel work. Like I'm gonna go 6 and 35. I'm gonna. Oh, sorry. This cannot be a period. It has to be a comma. And crap. Oh, right. And just click away, and then you will see there is a bit of rotation in them. And then we'll do the same thing. Rotation speed. We can bring to like 0.6. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, it looks about good. 1.5-ish. You can mess around with it, of course. Make it how you want it to look. This isn't too realistic an effect, but it's really cool. Now color. You could just set it to like red or crimson, or that's more of a crimson there. Crimson or black, of course, as I did. Green at another point in the video. We had like a fire red. You could do that, but no. What is more effective, I'll show you, is go to set color over life. Now this does look kind of weird, but you go down to this color over life section. Expand this out a bit so you can see more. Now we have these colors. This is what it starts, what the color starts as. This is what it ends as. So black. I'm gonna make this back to black. You double click on a section and you'll make another one. Or double click on that particular one and you'll recreate it. Now we have this. The reason I made this like gray is so it gives it more of a smoke effect. You know, when fire or whatever starts to die out, it turns more gray. So now we have opacity. We don't really want this to be full opacity. You want it to be like 75-ish. You could have it full opacity, but I'm gonna go with 80. And size random. You might want to mess with this, make it look a little more organic or natural, because not everything's going to be like the same size. So I'm just going to say 15%. So now we have a good variation of different colors here. I'm just going to extend this a bit. just to our finished masking. How does that sound? There, that looks pretty good. Now, one thing we really have to mess with, you see here, this looks like quite a bit. Yeah, we got good feather on there. Now, the life needs to be brought down quite a bit, depending on how long you want this particular shot to be. You can mess with the life length. I think this particularly looks good. I'm just gonna go back and make black for a little longer. I'll go back to 0.4. Actually, it looks better at a higher number, because then you get some good spray. I really like how particular automatically has physics set into it. You can mess with physics later. There's a physics tab that you can work with, but you don't need that for this particular one. If you want to, let's just mess with the air. Crap. Air resistance. Let's bring this down a bit. This is how much it's going to spread around. I'd like to spread a whole bunch. So there we have that. So you know, you get some nice distance around. Now we can go back to emitter. We can pump up how many of these there are per second. The more the merrier. You could say that. Now I have to bring down the life because that's way too many. 0.6. Bring it back down there. So there we have our finished effect. I think it looks pretty good. And of course, you know, gotta show you how to make the fire one, because everyone wants the fire one. So basically, color over life, it's the exact same effect, but you just do it a little bit different. Go here, make this more of a crimson. Not quite, a little darker. Bring this forward. The fire does take a little bit more to get the right colors and the right distance and everything. You want to still keep these like a little black and a little smoke, because you know the effect, you got to sell it. The smoke and everything. There's also orange and everything. Make it a little darker. It's starting to look pretty good. Mess around a little bit more with the effects, the coloring, everything. If you want to make it a really hot fire, you can give it a little blue there. Too much blue. It's not the right blue. You can do that, and it looks a little bit hotter, I guess you could say, because it's like the hot blue and everything. If you want, if you notice here, it's kind of like that. To fix that, you can either make the size bigger, which looks kind of weird. It looks a lot more powerful that way. That's a messed up mask. Sorry about that, but yeah, it looks a lot more powerful, but at the same time, it's kind of weird. Size, let's bring this back down to like, you know, like 22. The way you could also fix this is emitter. You could change it from point to box. Then it automatically gets a little bigger, so it's not just from the point, it's a little box around the point. These particular frames, also, you may want to like bring this forward. That's what I did in the video, so it actually covers the hand. Once it's in box, Yeah, it's a little bigger. You can mess around with these. Sphere, not quite. Grid, scary. Light, not cool. You need a light layer to do that. I'm an idiot. Yeah, box gives it a nice big color. So there's your effect. There you go. If you have any other effect you want me to teach you guys, I'm open to any suggestions. I will do my best to make them. So anyway, my name is Taz Olson. You can also, instead of motion tracking this yourself, you can also motion track it yourself using animation, stabilize motion, or track motion. Track motion is the one you want. Anyway, so that's me, Taz Olson. Gave you an effect. If you have any ideas for future effects, let me know. And that's all I have to say for now.